Bonjour, Ndishnikaz Makwekwe, Makwadide, Jinjiba Obashi, and Dayab Nijigma. Aunties that I said my spirit name was Bear Woman in the Bear Clan. In the Bear Clan, I was raised up in Obashi, which is about 30 miles from where I live. I grew up there, went to school there, and then now I live here in Bemidji with my family and my daughter next door, who's Natalie. And then I have the niece here, Lisa. And then, so when Rhonda had asked, when she was going to start doing these podcasts and Zoomcasts, she had asked a couple of years if I would be interested. And at the time I kept saying, okay, let me think about it. And so finally when she got hold of me this spring or last fall, I said, yes, I would do this. And so I'm part of an organization called Mewinzha, Ondaadiziike, Wiigaming, and it's a nonprofit. It's a Native American organization located here in Bemidji. Excuse me. Mewinzha means long ago. Ondaadiziike means women who birth or women who help women birth. And then also Wiigaming means destruction. So that could be anything, like even if you're out in the bush, out in woods, anything that would have a covering over yourself to protect you. I am a birth and postpartum doula. I've taken several different trainings, and I am also certified lactation specialist, and this all goes hand in hand as I started getting into birth work. And it all started with working with the program here on a reservation about 15 minutes away from us here, working as a maternal child health, home visiting healthcare nurse. And so another coworker and I did our home visits, and we noticed things about our families that we wanted to really assist more as they were going through their pregnancies and their deliveries at our hospital, which is also located in Bemidji, and that serves the 3 reservations of Perinatal in Minnesota. So there's Leech Lake, Red Lake, and then White Earth. And so we decided that we would become doulas. So we first took our first doula training with Jonah, and we traveled to Duluth for that, and the next one we traveled down to Minneapolis, which is about 4.5 hours from Bemidji, and did another doula donor postpartum training, and then that led us into becoming certified lactation assistants, specialists, which I am, and then others are certified lactation counselors. And then from there we decided we needed a little bit more education, so then we took the infant massage training. And then we just thought, well, what's next? So then we, one thing that I could see was going towards midwife. And then I came across this organization located down in Summertown, Tennessee. It's called The Farm, with Pine Patsy and Camel Hunt. And I had no idea who they were or how long the organization had existed. And so we got into their 6-day training. We went down there, and it was pretty amazing. It was amazing to be entering into this compound. And our group was consisted of, I think, maybe 20 women. And so we learned a lot. And what we found out is that with everything that we have learned up to that point, we felt really comfortable working or being as a certified midwife assistant. We were already LPN, so we already knew how to take blood pressure, understood about dipstick here, and also just understanding the growth and development of the baby. And so after that, we just decided that we would continue working, and then we decided maybe we should start seriously thinking about starting an organization. And that didn't happen until 2013, and we had a group of ladies. So we have 2 of the ladies on our board, Millicent, who's my daughter, and my niece Lisa Johnson. And then we have two other ladies from Minneapolis, Ida Downwind and Sherry. And then also up here we have Wendy Qualley and Roberta Decker. And Roberta and Ida are sisters. And so that's how we got to that point. But as far as the organization goes, we do a lot of community outreach. We bring in different people throughout the United States and Canada who will come to our organization and will work with us anywhere from a day training, or not even training, a day of in-service, or up to 4 days. But our longest program that we ever did was when we did the traditional birth trainings with allegedly midwife Doreen Day, and so we did that for 4 years, 4 days, quarterly, and then so out of that basically became a better understanding of what our roles were as women. What roles do we hold in our community? What roles do we have, or what gifts do we have? Because we all are been told that we carry gifts as we walk. And so we received many different trainings since we started this path. We have numerous women and men to thank who have accepted our tobacco. We have several elders who aren't with us anymore, who have passed on, who are very supportive of our work. And so I'm going to just backtrack a little bit here. When we started to do this, another board member at that time, Kristen, and I went into tobacco with one of the elders in Bemidji. That was deceased Margaret Porter in Des Moines. And so she sat with us and we talked with her and asked her, what was some of the protocols that what we should do to move forward with this organization. And well, she accepted our tobacco and she got back to us in a timely manner, gave us some direction. And then also at the time when she got back to us, she gave us our name, Mewinzha. And then also she gave us our colors, which were the white, purple, turquoise, and yellow, and the blue. And so the white, turquoise, and purple were midwifery colors, and the yellow is for breastfeeding, and then the blue would be for water, because we are water keepers. Really wants to take care of the water. And then she also said for us that we should do our feast for our organization, that we should do our feast for the name. So we do have things that we have to have in place yearly for us to continue moving forward. And then we also had some older gentlemen who came to us and talked with us and gave us some input about some of the stuff that they would like to see as far as what the men should provide for the organization. And so you might have to help me with this one, Lisa, because I think we have maybe 5 or 6 Galberos, men who are part of our helpers when we do our ceremonies. They are fire keepers. They just help out wherever we're needed. They help with the ladies in preparing. They will sit with us as we do our events. And then when we started the traditional birth, when I approached Doreen, I had heard about her, and it took me several years to really get in contact with her. And then when I finally did connect with her, I told her what I had, what I'd like to work on with the organization, and she understood. And so she accepted our tobacco, and that's how it came to be. We made a Facebook page, and out of that came 24 amazing women from all over the United States. And I see Jess Cree is one of them that's here, Lisa. Natalie was in and out. But in that time, there was an agenda that was made for us to follow. We did have homework that was asked of us, and some of us, I know some of the ladies have completed that part of it, but we also really sat down in ceremony. And so when we would come together, and some of us who were there were also, I think in that group, I think we had 2 babies that were born in that 2-year period. And so we had 2 little girls that were born during that time. And so, and they were from, one was from Leech Lake, and I think one of the other lady was from Wisconsin. And they're like in first grade, kindergarten now maybe. But when we would get together, we always passed our SEMA. We had our skirts. We had a facility that we rented for us when we gathered, and which allowed us to do our smudging, to make our medicines, where we could go outside and do things that needed to be done outside. And if there's anything that I missed, please speak up for the ladies who participated in this event. I'd appreciate it. We also, when we say we started a birth bundle. We received songs that were shared by many who told us that we could use those songs. We were given medicines on how to make medicines that we could use for our families or for our families and community. So out of that, what the birth bundle consisted of was that we received moss bag teachings, and so we learned how to make those. We received cradle board teachings, and that was something that all of us have. We received hand drumming, and we made our own hand drum, and then we received the teachings. And we've had several elders talk to us because they all come from different areas here, some from Minnesota, some from Canada. And so all the teachings that we received, we're so grateful for. We received instructions on how to build our knives. We are fire keepers because even as women, sometimes that's the role that we need to fill. And so we had fire keeping kits that were given, that we made, and that was brought to us and instructed on how to use them. We were given.
I think there's soy.
Pardon?
Go ahead. That was an accidental unmute.
Oh, okay. Okay. We had learn songs. We had to learn songs along with them when they made our hand drums. The elder who helped us was from Canada, and his significant other came down with him, and he showed us how to make our hand drums and how to tie them and cut them. And but his thing was that we each had to learn 2 songs, and so he made us do it, and it was fun. It was all done in fun, but it was also good learning because some of us are very bashful. Some of us, it took them a while to get to that point where they wanted to sing, and but he was very good and kind working with us. Also, we learned medicine, and so when so we have our medicines that we carry with us in our birth bundle, and we'll use them when needed. We'll use them for our families. We'll use them whenever it's called upon us for us to share. I want to say one thing though is that I want to say so much, give thanks for the people who did accept our tobacco and who honored that tobacco. And everybody that we approached accepted it, and that was one of the things that was told to us, that we have to pass our tobacco first before anything's to happen. We can't jump forward, we can't jump ahead of anything, we can't jump ahead of that tobacco. We also In that time, we also did traveling. We went to different birth centers. We went up to the Six Nation Birth Center up in Canada. Our board went up there, and it's terrible to get out of Toronto's airport. It took me 3 times. I ended up exiting out of the airport, and I went around, and it took us 3 times to get out of there. We ended up laughing because it was getting hilarious after a while, because we just couldn't get out of the airport. And so the midwives that we met there were 2 that Sharon Smoke was one of the midwives, and she's an elder, and she sat with us and showed us gave us a tour of the facility, and we took pictures. And everything that we've done is also on our website, on our Facebook page. You can scroll through all of the pictures there, and they're all there. And you'll see familiar faces. And so that was one of the things that we had done. And then when the ladies applied, we had a couple questions that we had to ask about why they wanted to participate. And everybody was accepted. As people know, I have a hard time turning anybody away. If I have to, there's a reason behind it. And, but normally I don't. I just keep letting people come on board. And so we, after we had those sessions, we all went our separate ways. But then also out of that, we learned how to take care of ourselves. We learned about the full moon ceremony. There were so many different ceremonies that we learned about that some of us had already attended, participated in. I'm also in a day. I'm a 4th degree, which I passed my tobacco for my 5th. I belong to a lodge up here in Anishinaabe. I am also an LPN, and I have my license or current, but I don't work in a facility. I basically do just what I'm doing right now, and I work in the community. I'm a community advocate. I do a lot of community outreach. The one thing that I want to say is that the women who attended this birth training all came with significant knowledge about birth. But we were all connected because we wanted that one piece that was offered during the training, and that was the spiritual part of the birthing process, learning the physiology of birth, learning how to take care of yourself, understanding your moon time, and also when we learned about the moon time, for some of the women too, we learned about the berry fast. And I know some of the ladies here can see me, but I don't know how many people have actually done a berry fast. So that's something we would just put in the chat. And normally one of the first things I always ask to is that how many of you know your birth story? And so if you would share, if you want to, you don't need to say your details, but that you have spoken your birth story or you've heard of your birth story. So we did the very fast. And some of us are have all gone through our having our children. And so when we were doing that part of that training, we found out there was a ceremony that women could do who were older, who had already gone through menopause. And in my mind, there was always something in the back of my mind that said, there's something I need to be able to do to honor everything that I've experienced as a woman, having my moon time, having my children, going through the change of going to menopause. And so when that was said, that there was a ceremony that women who had gone through that could do that, I participated, and I think I was 63 when I did that. And so I was able to do my berry fast, and I did that for a year. My first 9 months were pretty easy, but then the last 3 months were pretty hard. They were tough. But I did complete it. I was also fortunate to be able to have my daughter and my two younger granddaughters there to participate. And I had my friend from nursing school, Bernadette, who was one of the ladies who fed me my berries after I completed my berry fast. And then I also had my daughter feeding my berries, and then also my two, Stella and Maya also. So in that process, that part of that's something now that my grandchildren will be able to continue moving forward. That's something even my daughter can do if that's something she decides that she would like to do. I don't tell people that they should do that, or that's not my place. I will be more than happy to help you to find the right people or somebody that you feel comfortable with in assisting you in what you need. I also have, I'm the only child, so I think family is very important to me. I have lots of cousins and that are up here, and we're at that age now where we're considered the elders in our family. We've lost both all of our uncles on our mom's sides, and I've lost all my relatives, the aunt and uncles on my father's side. My mother, I should say, my mother is from Red Lake Nation. She's deceased, and then my father is deceased. He was from Fort Berthold in North Dakota. And I still keep in contact with a cousin who's older than me, and so we talk quite often, maybe once a week, so I still have that connection there. But as far as knowing people that way, I don't. Everybody that I remembered or remember names have gone on. And then when I say I come from Obashin, it means that I lived there probably when I was 3 up until 5. And when I lived up on a hill, there used to be a church right downtown, Panema, that was run by Pastor Fast, with my grandparents set up a house on top of the hill there. And so it was a two-room house, had 4 windows and 1 door, and then we had an outhouse where we could look down and see the town of Obashin. And so so I'm very grateful that part of having my grandparents to be able to have an input in how I grew up. They had the language, they did ceremonies, they were part of the community. My understanding is that they were healers. But that wasn't something I learned. That was something I learned after I got much older. That was nothing that was, I knew we practiced the language in our home. My grandparents lived with us. I know we did, I know she had medicines for my mother when she needed it. I knew there were other things that happened that, now that I'm older, I understand that was done for my mother when she needed it. And also, I had one uncle, he's passed on, Marvin Hurd. He was basically the one that was did my counseling. And he had a lot of input in how he always made me think. If I asked him a question, he never answered right away. There was always a little bit of silence, so that I knew I had to be patient before I could move forward. So I missed that part. And then also deceased Wasabi. She was our leader for the Daily Lodge, and then of course Megan Moore, our reporter. So everything that we've learned through that birthing, that was probably the biggest thing we've ever done as far as what Mewinzha has brought to the community, and how the women came and how they took it back to their communities, because each and every one of them had knowledge already. And so we all still keep in touch. And I know that we're far away, but I just feel that we're always going to be connected forever, no matter what we're doing. There's always going to be that connection for us. Does anybody have any questions before I go on about anything that I've said? Anybody want? Can you just raise your hand? If you,
I'm curious if you wanted to just speak. You shared the name of your organization, but could you just share for those who haven't had the pleasure of being on your territory, just a little bit about your community?
Okay. Mewinzha is located in Bemidji, and we work with women and families regarding birth, maternal child health. We've helped moms who have had babies in hospital. I've also worked with moms who delivered in the bus. I have had the opportunity of being a doula or a birth keeper for 2 generations, the mother and her daughter. And last week, I just learned that the baby that I was her doula for, she just had her first baby. So my oldest doula baby is 24, and so I have a couple who are in their 20s. And but every time, so there's always going to be that. Again, there's always going to be that connection. We offer a lot of community outreach. We, like Lisa is very good with organization. Natalie too has put a lot of time and effort into bringing what she wants to bring into the organization. And it's about long ago birthing traditions. Thank you, Lisa. About bringing those back. Yeah. And so even when we've gone out to visit, I asked the elders in different communities if they could share some of their birth stories or their birth experiences, and some have. Is everybody? It says that I'm muffled. Is everybody? Am I okay? Do I need to speak louder?
I don't think it's louder. I think it's just the microphone.
Oh.
So I don't know. I'm definitely getting consistent sound.
Okay. And so so we do give referrals out. Let's say if we have a young family that wants to be seen, we'll sit and visit with them. We also will, if they need further assistance, like if they need help with mental health, we will give a soft handoff to different organizations or introduce them to some of the community members that we are affiliated with or who have participated in some of the work that we've already done up to this point. I really don't want to say I recommend anybody, but I will walk with somebody to introduce them. And so that I know that they can decide where they need to be. The facility here in Bemidji, like I said, delivers all of our babies. And so the Indian Health Service and the 3 reservations here they haven't delivered babies for a while. And so we have some interest in some women who wanted more information about home birthing, and but there's so much that needs to be done before that happens. We have to have so many other things in place, and the women and the families who are interested in that too also need to do some education about understanding the physiology of birth, the understanding of what it takes to have a home birth, the support, knowing that we've done this for many years, beginning of time, all nations, all races, and that's just us who have babies at home. My mother-in-law, who will be 103 this weekend, mother was a midwife, and she shared her stories. What also is we've also helped with naming ceremonies. We've also helped with women who have lost their baby through miscarriage or didn't come to full term. And we've also helped with the men who will come and sit and visit with us and take the time to just, sometimes it's just sitting there with them and just being there and just letting them say what they need to say, and they know they can always come back. We always have an open door policy. Everybody that works with Mewinzha are doulas, so they're all birth and postpartum doulas, lactation, and so that all came to be when we had this COPE training, and it's with Jenny Joseph's program down in Florida. And so that's one of the organizations in Minnesota that's recognized to this day for MA reimbursement. And that again is that takes time. That is still an ongoing process with Aunties. We've had a couple of we had a big midwifery gathering here in Bemidji, where we had a lot of midwives throughout the United States and Canada that participated, and that was amazing. And then also we had a breastfeeding conference, and at that time too we had some ladies from Wisconsin who came in to share their birth stories, and that was amazing to hear about how their organization is doing so well over there, providing home birthing for their community and using their language and their medicines and their songs, and they have midwives that will help facilitate the birth. We at one point had thought about doing a birth center, and as time came about, we realized that wasn't something that was going to happen. We're up here in northern Minnesota. We don't have any midwives that can practice at our facility here, and there's never been, and I don't know if that'll ever happen. We don't have any community professional midwives, and just until recently, but they also have their own private practice. And but we do have several women of different races who are actively doing home births in Bemidji. You'd be surprised at how many. I was surprised at how many people are having home births.
And you said that that IHS, Indian Health Services, has not provided care for laboring birth givers in a long time. Is the facility where all of your nation's babies are being welcomed, do you feel like with the other work you're able to do that it's able to be culturally centered, respected, because I feel like that's one of what each community is needing is so unique, because where the community is struggling is also so very unique. And there are places where the facilities aren't safe places for the families to go, or they're just so many hours away that the reality of reaching that facility is such an extreme burden on the community. And so, yeah, I was just curious about that. And, I see that you've been working with trying to offer support now and have still been working to build, future birth keepers.
Mm-hmm.
And that what that ends up being in the future. is going to look very unique in each community.
Mhm. The facility here in Bemidji is, we have struggles with some services that are provided, but I think that's fair to say that there's always going to be room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. I used to work at the facility here. I worked on mid-surge, and I was one of the native nurses on the second floor, and then Roberta was the native nurse on the third floor. And then, but as far as us working there, or us going in there as doulas, we've never had any problem. We've always been accepted. We've never had any issues. We haven't had any. The staff has been very good to us. The providers have been very understanding. Some of them have also given us the time to say that, you know, Mom really we need to start doing some serious interventions here. And so we've also had that opportunity to sit with them and, you know, explain to them we need to do some other things so that we can don't go in and have any more interventions done to you, or you don't end up with a C-section. And so those were some of the things that, those were all positive. We've had, I think the last 5 or 7 women that Roberta had went into the hospital with, they refused their IVs, they didn't want to have fetal monitors on. They said they would have them, but they were very adamant about how long they would be allowed to have the monitors on. They didn't want to have any IVs started, but they were more vocal. The women that were at that time knew what they wanted, and they did everything in the right way. They weren't mean about it. They weren't raising their voice about it, but they were educated. And so I just need to say Roberta did a fantastic job in educating those women about what they needed to say and what they needed to do to advocate for better birth. Because when they were introduced to all these things, these ladies knew exactly what was happening and why it was happening. And they asked them, why are we doing this when I don't feel I need it? It's not something that I need to have right now. I would like to wait. Can you give us more time? So they all did wonderful. That was just amazing to see that, and then also to know that their births, they were happy with their births, they were happy with how things came about after everything was said and done. And so as far as relationship with Sanford, I just think that there's always going to be improvement that needs to be done. And it doesn't matter if it's maternal child health and OB department. It's just that we need to be more educated about the services and what we need to educate ourselves about what we're stepping into, because that isn't what we're used to. And I think that if you go in there and just think that it's things are going to happen and you're going to walk around okay, I think that you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And I just feel that with healthcare nowadays, that you do need to know, you do need to use your voice, you do need to be educated about what is going to happen to you. There is nothing that you can't say. You need to explain this better to me. I need to know more why you want to have this done, why this needs to be done.
Yeah, I'm just hearing so frequently from the doulas of just how helpless the situation often feels in different environments, and that's been a major burnout of people who are wanting to serve members in their community, is still being in systems, whether that is, you know, WIC or a treatment center or whatever those are, of just trying to help have a foot in both of those very different worlds, and how much of a struggle that can be, for the provider, and for the person trying to be a helper, and for the family that are are in these systems that aren't culturally centered.
Mhm. And I think that that can happen in any facility. That doesn't just happen here in our facility in Bemidji. I've heard probably,
Hmm.
I've heard more, some good, not good experience even at in-house service. And that is tribally, that's your tribe, that's your community. And yet you still have people who say they weren't treated right, or they were, they just weren't treated right and they didn't feel safe. I think one of the biggest concerns that we had at one point was that when they were going through some changes and making changes to the floor about how many people could actually be in the labor and delivery, was that we had several grandmothers who approached us to say that they weren't allowed in the birth. They had to pick and choose who could be a part of the birth, and the grandma was not one of them, or the mother. And so we heard that that was concerning. And so I think myself and another lady sat with the OB department and asked that that could be changed because of just of our cultural, how we always have more than one person, more than one family member in any event that we should have to be hospitalized for any reason. And I can't tell you right now, and I think with COVID, it's changing on a daily basis. But right now, I think it's one person can go in with during the labor.
Hey, Mom,
And
wasn't there a thing at Sanford too when they started implementing background checks if you were seeing babies?
yes,
When did that start getting implemented? I can't remember.
that's probably when the opiate stuff started with the community in the opiate facility. And that's when you had to provide your license, your driver's license, and before you could go on to OB, it was a locked floor. Yeah, you're right. That was not like that prior to that.
Mhm. Yeah, and so I do childbirth education classes for Indigenous families virtually a couple times a month, and that's what I'm hearing so often from people as well, is that they're only allowed this one person, and and people have different traditions on who that would be, but so often it's going to be you know high potential. It's the father of the baby, whether that person is trained to, or able to offer the kind of support that someone needs while they're laboring or not. um, and and that some hospitals are allowing in certified doulas, but they're requiring one of the national organization certification cards. And so the aunties and the grandmas and the people who would have been chosen, were cut out of that had a doorway that they couldn't pass through because they didn't meet one of those requirements. And those would have been the people who attended and supported those people, and held the wisdom of the ceremonies, had experienced giving birth before. And there's the amount of grief that I'm hearing from families right now, who are trying to make these choices or just feeling helpless within them is really overwhelming. Um, so yeah, I certainly wasn't asking these questions just because I don't believe that your community hospital is any different than anywhere else. It's just that balance of trying to find solutions that are both trying to support immediate needs, and the systems that currently exist, as well as dreaming for what do we want into the future. And so I'm curious, like with the 3-year midwifery gatherings that you held, you know was the intention for people to go on and then serve birthing families, or was it to reignite the spark, you know to be able to bring the ceremonies back?
It was both. Actually, the midwifery part of it is just, I think, for me, myself, it's just that a personal growth. It's just keeping me going. That's like, okay, that my next level now is this. And so I am currently in Matrona Holistic Midwifery Program. I'm also following a midwife, but because of COVID, and I'm back. I'm holding back now. I'm going out and assisting, but no, the birth center, because of all of the rules and regulations to have a birth center, really took our women out of the equation, because there's a big list of things that if you have blood pressure, high blood pressure, diabetes, all these things, any addictions, all that stuff. So I attended one day, and then after that, I sat with a lady who did the training, and I said, well, you just kind of took me out of the whole equation. It's not going to be something that I that was just one piece of it, and then all of a sudden realizing that we don't have the midwifery support to continue in that direction. I think that it would be wonderful in the future if that's something that the facility here would provide, but it's not something that we could ever provide. There's just too many rules and regulations, and that's as far as myself. I will help out as much as I can as far as helping somebody with the birth in their home, or if they're, in the home. I think I would love to see more of our babies born on the reserves or the reservations. Of course, healthy families, not just to say that, to get away from that. When you go into the hospital, if you tested positive for any types of chemicals, and you're not going to have your baby with you when you leave, baby will be in custody. And I've also experienced that with a couple of the families that I've worked with, and so grateful that they had close family members so that the mother and baby could still go home with grandma. And so for that worked out wonderfully. But yeah, so there's, but I think as far as ones who have become doulas through the organization, the COPE training, we have several here in Leech Lake, in Red Lake. We have now some in White Earth, because we did 2 virtual trainings last year. And the majority of the women that we trained are down in Minneapolis. And so they're working down there. There's several organizations down there that are doing well. Again, people can pay for out of pocket. People can't pay for out of pocket. And there's no funding there to support to have a doula. That's not something that our organization provides. So if you're going to work, if you're going to assist somebody, that's something that you either work with the family on how you're going to get paid, or you're going to donate your time, you're going to retire. So that's pretty much what Roberta and I have done up to this point. We haven't done any birth for doula births for maybe 4 or 5 years now, 4 years maybe.
So of the people giving birth in your community, how many would you say have the benefit of having a doula then?
For the families that I've worked with, I was gifted blankets, I was gifted food, I was gifted something that they made. But as far as the monetary, I did not receive that. But that wasn't, to me, that was okay. That was, they knew that when we connected that we volunteered our time. And I don't know how any of the other doulas, I know there are a couple, maybe 3 or 3 doulas here in Bemidji who are doulas, but I don't know what they charge for their services.
In your ideal, you've been doing this work in your community. One of the reasons that I just truly, truly admire you, Millicent, is that you are, I was being facetious when I asked you which direction you were going of like supporting current families or building more birth givers birth keepers, because I've seen how you've been creative and, been working from all of the different first and second sister solutions, trying to creatively meet people's need. I remember I called you one time about childbirth education and you were like, well, people are really loving sewing. And so we're weaving it in our time together when we're crafting and, and then sharing the stories. And so it looks different, but it is exactly what, you're weaving it in to meet the community's needs and meet people where they're at. And I've always admired that about you. And so after, all this time of being, seeing the big picture and focusing on small projects and, bringing in new trainings and, all of those different pieces, what would you like if money were not the piece and time were not the piece and the fact that there aren't midwives there right now, what would be the dream, what would be what you would picture for how best to help your community be healthy?
First of all, I really dreamed of, I love the idea of the compound. I know it's enclosed, it's out of the city limits, you have your admin building if you need it, but you would also have outlying buildings to meet the needs of whatever families needed at that time. Because not everything needs to be done in a community base, not everything needs to be done openly. Sometimes people just need a little break to say that I'm having difficulty, I don't know where to go. Maybe we have a lot of programs out here, but a lot of the programs also have barriers from accepting other people to come in. And I know that firsthand because I've worked with a young lady who needed some services done. And yes, she might have waited until the very last minute to finally get on the ball. But that was an eye-opener for me because we went through several organizations on the reservation and we were turned down, every one of them, because she was not part of that organization. She was not part of that program. And so that was very frustrating. And so my heart goes out to the women who are in the families who always have to jump through hoops to get some type of service, who always have to fill out application after application after application to receive some services. I mean, that takes a lot of time and energy to do that. It also takes a lot of money to get to these places. And then not everybody has a computer, not everybody has Wi-Fi, not everybody can do it at the drop of a hat. But there are lots of barriers on and off the reservations, in my experience. And so as far as just to have people in place there that have that ability to maybe make a one-stop shop, just to say that, yes, we have somebody here you can visit with, or if you need some medical assistance, or if you're, I'd love to be able to see a medicine garden. I'd love to see a garden so that the women who are pregnant could have access, or they could work in the garden. We know how important that is, and we were gardeners. I grew up in a family that had a big garden, but also to know that too, that the men have a lot of responsibility that they need to live up to, that they have to know that they are now going to be responsible for another human being, and they are responsible forever for that child. That they have a role to play, and my heart goes. I am so grateful for the men who are out there. That's why when we did this fire keeping training, You know, it said, we did two. A small group of us went up to Thunder Bay, and I think I had 5 or 6 of my family that we went up there. And the gentleman who was hosting the firekeeper said he's never had a family that many attend, let alone women, and he was okay with that. So we all learned how to the protocol for starting a fire. Then the other one that they came back to Bemidji and did a bigger session for us, and so that was pretty amazing too. And then we also incorporated different medicines that they made and teachings that went with that one. But to have we're blended families. There's a lot of blended families that we work with. We also have dads raising girls and mothers raising boys, so they need those teachings, just like the men do. They need to have a better understanding of when their child is going to start going to puberty. And there was one gentleman here when we were doing the full moon ceremony over in Leech Lake. Had a wonderful group of women, and this young man brought in 2 little girls to the ceremony. And he's had said, introduced himself, and he said, I'm bringing my girls here because this is something that they need to hear. And they were young. They were, grade school. But he said he realized that that is something that he could not provide for his girls, but he wanted them to start learning about it now at that age. And so he stayed, and the girls did the full moon ceremony with us. And so they learned some teachings. They learned right firsthand that their dad took care of them as far as bringing them to the ceremony. And then we have women who are raising young men. And we need to know those roles. We need to know that what we need to do for them when they do their physicality. We need to know what they need to do when they go through puberty, as far as going out on their fast. We need to be able to help assist them in getting those things in place for them. And so, not everybody has a mother in their life, and not everybody has a father, our grandmother or grandparents. I see somebody said there, where was the virtual training? I didn't catch it. We did that last fall, and we do have a waiting list of, so if that's something anybody's interested in doing another virtual doula training, it would be done in your home. And there are things that, it's technically a 48-hour course. And after the course, we go through being a birth doula, a postpartum doula, some lactation, some mental health, and then we have an outreach project that we have you do regarding breastfeeding. And so the other trainer in the state of Minnesota is Arikara. She's an African Black lady from Minneapolis, and she works with her people in Minneapolis and Wellness Center, and her and I are the facilitators to do this training in the state of Minnesota. And then after our 48-hour training, you are certified. You do not have to go and do any births. You are ready to go. You are ready to roll. But because of the barriers again through the state of Minnesota with the doula register, you have to be certified, and we are one of the 9 programs that's under the Medicare for reimbursement. But we're also one of the 9 organizations that accepted that they will accept their training. And so every 3 years you will get a renewal. You would contact Kathy Bradley from Florida, and she will set you up with just to renew your license. I think right now Minnesota is the only one that says that you have to have a renewed license, otherwise you would be good to go. You wouldn't have any more additional training to do. Like there's other organizations out there where you have to do so many births before you can get certified, and then you have to have your paperwork, then you have to pay a yearly reimbursement fee, a couple of years. This is not like that. And we do put some cultural pieces into the training for that. Otherwise, it's a curriculum that was given to us from Jenny Josephs in Florida, and then the lady who is the IBCLC, Kathy Bradley, is the one who does the breastfeeding part. And so Akmir and myself do the first 3 days, and then Natalie does the lactation part of it. And then Lisa assists throughout the week. She helps with registration. She helps in the background with computer work and test taking. And there is a pre-test for each component, and then there is 2 finals, but they're all open book. But it's very comprehensive. It's we've had really good comments about how they enjoyed taking the course and how much it covered. And so for us to be able to do that, we had received some funding through a grant so that we were able to cover the cost of each participant. Otherwise, that if you paid out of pocket, it was $1,200, and that still is significantly less than what you would pay if you went to an individual birth, a postpartum, and lactation. Because I think even the lactation, the $45 one, I think that's itself is over $1,000 itself. If you didn't have somebody cover the cost for you, your work. So it's expensive.
Do you anticipate any other of trainings into the future? What is the next step priorities for your organization right now?
Well, with the COVID, we're technically just working from home until we can tell whatever COVID mandates, what the regulations are. But we are always available on our website, how people can reach us. You can message us, you can call us, you can email us, you can text us, message us, whatever. And of course, we can't travel into Canada to visit any of our friends, Canada sisters. So that's kind of a bummer. But I just think that it has to have a family atmosphere. It has to have a safe atmosphere. We also have to be safe. You as a birth worker have to be safe. You do need to know your boundaries. There are boundaries in this work. You have to do self-care. And we have to allow the families that we work with to make these decisions, and we need to give them good choices, give them good informed choices about the care that they want. We're not a hand-holding organization. That isn't what we want. We want people to be successful. We want people to walk away saying, I can do this. I already knew that. I didn't know I had that. I didn't know that was already in there. I didn't know that was already in there. Just like when I did the training up in summertime, I was just so excited because I thought, I'm not going to know a darn thing. And yet, we walked out of there every day just feeling good because we knew, we already understood what they were talking about. And so I would encourage everybody, to go into your own communities. And I know we did a lot of traveling to other reservations and other reserves and out of the country. But there was always a connection. There's always going to be a connection. Maybe the language might be different, the ceremonies are different, but we're all as women are connected. And so it would be just a place of where people could come and say, I'm just having a rough time. I'm having a tough time understanding, relationship building. to the point of even getting right down to cooking, gardening, keeping their hands busy, keeping their mind busy. We have a lot of people here who are now getting into yoga. We have another young lady up here up in Red Lake who is doing yoga virtual. We have a lot of runners who are runners. We have people who are still out hunting, fishing. We still have grandmas who know how to sew, do beadwork, learn how to cook, everything that you would do in your home. It would be just like you opened your door to your home is what I would like to see. I just would like to have people say, when you walk through the store, you're welcome. And I grew up with that kind of a household. I grew up with a mother who was paraplegic. I was a caregiver since 5. We always had women who came to visit sometimes, and I was too little to understand the reasons why they might have came to visit. Maybe they were, I just don't know. But now that I'm older, I'm thinking that maybe there was some things that they needed to get away from. Maybe it was for their safety. But I know our house was always open. Our house was always open to women to come and stay. And when they came to stay, they helped cook, they helped clean, they were useful. They, and some of them I know, some of them they came down and out, but they didn't leave that way. They left in a good way when they went back. And maybe they might have returned again, but it was still, when they left in a good way. And so I was, that's something that, that's something that's not new to me. That's just something that we did in my household. And we have people who are doing language. People, there are people here who have reached out to us, and I have reached out to learn the language, and they've accepted tobacco. We've had some women who wanted to learn drumming. There's just lots of stuff that can keep people healthy and good way, that can keep their mind off or get them through the day. But then we also have access to Natalie services. She's a nurse practitioner. She's a medical provider. We also have friends who are diabetic educators, and we have people who are can work in yoga. We have, that's something that somebody needed. You just don't have to sit by yourself. There's plenty of things to do. There's plenty of things to do besides just dwell on maybe what you're experiencing at that time. We all know how to do self-care with our medicine, our teas, our herbal baths. I'm just new to experiencing the vaginal steam, and I have responded well to that. That has helped me at what I needed. But also just knowing that if you're a pipe carrier, there you go. You use those things. Those are for you to use. If you have your drum, use your drum. And if you know medicines, use your medicines. Learn what it's used for. Learn yourself. Work on yourself first of all. And the reason I say that is because when I got sick here a couple of years ago, I ended up in ICU, and the doctor had said to me that heaven forbid medicine, that if you should ever get really sick, there's not a lot of medicine out there to have a lot of allergies to different antibiotics and whatnot. And so right then and there, that was when my friend and I became very interested in wanting to travel to learn different medicines. And so that's when we connected with Kathy David and Figures. And so now we completed, like I said, we completed her 4 years with her, and we've been her Schwabe for at least 8-10 years. And it never gets old. We're always learning something new about the same medicine. We're always learning something new about visiting with elders who are attending these gatherings. Go sit with an elder. Go sit with somebody, even if it's your next door neighbor. Go sit with your, if you're so fortunate to have your parents with you, go sit with them and start asking questions about how they used to take care of themselves. And if you are young enough to still have your grandparents, then go sit with your grandparents. Start at home first. And then start attending women's circles, because that's exactly what I did. This was not something that I've been doing forever. It's something that's been that I started, but was always there. I did realize that, and because we did practice our medicines in my household in the language, but I didn't venture out to women's talking circles until I was much older. And there are so many ceremonies out there. You wouldn't believe all the ceremonies that are out there. There is the Mewinzha, there's the sun dance, there's pipe, there's sunrise, there's full moon, there's dark moon, there's shake tent, there's just so many things out there that are just waiting. There's something there within each of you that once you start listening to your spirit, you will, maybe you're going to be one of our facilitators, maybe you're going to be one of our healers, maybe you're going to be one of our future teachers. Yeah, really, seriously. Everyone that I'm looking at now has gifts, and I've seen some of those gifts, and they're pretty darn amazing. We had the cedar bath that was given to us by a young lady that's attending this winter from Perinatal. And actually, I can't even remember, it's like we've been friends forever. All these women that I've sat with, it's like, I can't tell you when we started connecting. It's like we've always had this connection. And it'll always be that way. So we have cedar bath, which you can do for women. You can do it for men if that's something you feel comfortable. I only work with women and children, but because I don't know the language and that's another kind of you have some people who say you need to do the language to do these things, and I thought, well, there you go, kind of put a barrier for me, so I do the best I can. I do it with a good heart. I do it with, I'm only the vessel that facilitates, I'm only facilitating what needs to be done. It's not me, it's the creator who is doing the work, not me. I'm only the vessel that he works through. And that's something that you can do on your own. You can do that in your own home. You can do your own smudging in your own home. You can do your own blanket ceremony in your home. You don't need to go anywhere. It's all just go sit with somebody and observe and listen and understand. There's natural laws that you have to follow. You can't just go and attend and say, I'm going to do this. That won't work. And you don't want it to work that way.
Would you, as you're sharing about all of these beautiful ceremonies, I also just wanted to see if, in particular, those people who may be watching this, or people that we're supporting in childbirth education or midwifery clients, those who are away from the nations of their bloodline, or just feel lost in a way, and that in particular that have Anishinaabe blood, and know that those are teachings that they are asking for or wanting. What advice would you give them on how to connect to that?
I would say start in your home. I would say start in your home first and allow them, your aunt and uncles and them to honor them by asking them. You might be surprised at what they will share with you. And then after that, start connecting yourself with women you trust, women who walk in a good way, women who also sometimes our best teachers are the ones who have struggled the most because they had to work through those things and survive. I would attend different ceremonies. Always bring your tobacco. When I started off, I had my tobacco with me, and then, but I didn't have a skirt. You know, that's something new that I started doing. Otherwise, prior to that, when I sat with families, I always had just my, didn't have a skirt on, but now I do it. And I do have my bundle that I carry with me when I go places. I travel with my bundle wherever I go.
I think I've made the settings so that if people are wanting to unmute, that they're able. But I'm just curious if opening up to questions at this point feels good to you from others. And yeah, if people wanted to raise their hand, that also helps us call on people as well. I'm seeing all of these sweet love messages in the chat. It was hard to write the advertisement for today's because, I was also one of those people like, another just wrote in the comment box of just, I think we've only shared space for 2 events, I think. And, but you truly impacted my life. And it's so like and I'm just thinking of this Zoomcast and, how humbly you have just described so many amazing, moments and teachings and, events, that you've been a part of. And so I guess I just need to say that in this interview is that, you truly represent a person who is, walking your talk and doing what you can. And so quietly, is supportive. And that, yes, it has taken months for me to kind of, book this Zoomcast with you. But I think that has a lot just to do with, the humility that you hold. So I just want to lift my hands up to you. And I know that there are many other messages and people on this call who feel the same way. So if that's the purpose of today's Zoomcast, is to just, lift up and say those words, then it's work well done. But yeah, do people have just stories or just for people who haven't been a part of any of these events or trainings or experiences, maybe it's that we just share a little bit about, what these trainings or times together, learning new things and how that's impacted our work.
I have a question for Angela. Is she still on? It says that she's on her 7th moon of her berry fast. And I just want to commend you on that. And I support you all the way here in from Minnesota. And that you're doing an amazing thing for your community and you're doing an amazing thing for your family. But also you're doing a lot of healing by participating in this berry fast. It's tough. It's a humbling experience to do a berry fast at any age. I don't know if it would be any harder at a young age when you first get your own time. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. But I know it's harder when you're older.
Millie, was that the ceremony you were speaking of for the menopause?
Yes,
Was the berry fast?
yes.
Okay.
Did you do the berry fast?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it transformed my life being there with you for all those years. And it's just, yeah, it's such a deep, profound level I can't even explain. Just so powerful, so meaningful. And it really kind of put me on this path of just magic. Mm-hmm. So miigwech for everything.
Yes, Jess was one of the ladies who came from out east, and her phone, her phone call was so sweet. She said, "I don't know if I should come out there. What do you think?" I said, "You get out here. You know, you need to be with us." So she came. She never missed anything. Um, and that's the way it is. You know, once you make that commitment, you just are there. You've made that commitment. And so I know a lot of the women that, you know, Lisa too has played a big part in our organization, and she's experienced a lot of things that I've talked about, and she can speak to that if she chooses to. And Cheyenne over there too has come down to visit with us and has participated in several of our sessions, and it was always wonderful to see her and her sidekick attend. And but she also was one of the ladies that helped us with our first seated bath. She gifted that to us, our group. And so I want to again just say thank you for doing that, because that helped. That is a very powerful woman's teaching good medicine that you carry. And this for Jess too, you know, she's a very humbling woman. She came to us as a doctor of naturopath, and she really didn't say too much about that. But she also shared with us about some of her work that she's done, and she shared some of her medicines with us and helped facilitate some healing with some of the ladies who reached out to her during our time together. And that was the way it was. We all tried to assist the women that were attending whatever they were going through. We tried to be their supportive while they were there, because they always just didn't come all hunky-dory, oh, I'm glad to be here. They came with things, you know, so, but they left really in a good way. And that's probably the best analogy I could say about is that when we have gatherings, we hear a lot of people who say that they're really happy that they were part of that circle.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Oh, there you are, Lisa.
Yes. Bonjour, everyone. Wabunukwe, Indigenous cause, Makwa Dudem, Obashin Dunchamba, Bejigo, Bade, Bejigo. With my experience with working with Mewinzha, all the teachings and I would say trainings that I have attended and learned from, it has helped me with I'm the eldest grandchild, so I have lots of nieces and nephews, and they do have questions, and I have noticed that they've been asking me, and I could tell them, advise them who to go ask if they want to learn more. But I'm not comfortable of like doing some of the ceremonies that I have learned, so I try to give it to tell them for the older, the other people in our community, and for one It has made me closer to my mother-in-law. She is a very big part of me up there, and we've been getting mom will stay closer, and she has knowledge that we do say that we only have so little bit of it, but a little bit people have a little bit of that knowledge, and it all comes together when we're all in a circle with all these women, and that's what I miss. I just hope that we can all get back together shortly after this COVID.
Mhm.
I have my sidekick in the back of me. So we got that balance part. We have a male listening to this all this time. Um. Okay, but
Hello there.
so all my family has been sitting here listening. So just it's a family learning experience for I have my kids in the background listening at a lot of our gatherings. It's family oriented, so just can't say any.
All matters say all spiritual.
Yeah, spiritual, ceremonial. I like that part. Um, I like to be in the background. So otherwise, I dismiss everybody and thank you. Thank you for listening to what little bit I shared.
Mhm. So
I mean,
the ladies who are attending here right now, oh, deja vu. What is that saying, deja vu? Um, so the ladies that are here today, once we're done, what are you going to take away from today? That maybe you have been honestly just thinking like, oh, something's calling you, or something has come to you, or you dreamt of something, or you've experienced things. If you don't want to share, that's okay. But every time when I would attend a gathering, there was always something that came out of it that that I knew that I could just run with it. And there's not too many things that are put in place that I don't listen to. I have a um, there are things that that are gonna, like I was just telling Lisa today. There is an overwhelming of happiness that I'm experiencing right now. There's overwhelming of gratefulness that I'm experiencing right now. I feel like there's something good that's going to happen. I don't know what that is, but I'm experiencing it as of today, all day. So I can't tell you what it is, but whatever it is, it's good. So I hope that there's something that you walk away with, something that maybe you've already done it, maybe you've already, maybe something just said, now go do it.
I'm loving reading all of your words in the chat box. And they're all, teachings I heard today and also just beautiful ideas. So I'm happy and proud of every single person who's putting these intentions forward.
Mm-hmm. So there's this thing called source message. So today is March 31st. And this is pretty much how I do things. It's kind of hit home for me today. So I just want to read this to you. It says, repeat. I said, I am not going to stress about anything anymore. Because I know no matter what it is, it's going to be taken care of, just as everything else has been in my life. So long as I remain committed to myself, find happiness and peace in each given moment, and surrender to the things I cannot change. I know my life will be abundant. I know all is well. I know I am well. And I believe this. That says now, carry on. So ladies, carry on. Well, at least you smiled at that one.
Okay, any final closing words, or we can finish for today? And I want to thank you so much, Millicent, and all of the lovely messages in the chat are really great. But yeah, do you have any last closing words, anyone, or should we say some closing prayers?
Mhm. Well, Rhonda, I just want to thank you, and I should have said this at the very beginning, but I just really want to thank you for the work that you're doing. I'm so grateful that you attended our midwifery gathering as the other midwives and birth workers at that time. My world has gotten smaller because of all the people that I've met since I started walking this path. There's not a place that I can think of right now that I don't have some kind of midwifery sisters in there. Birth worker sister, a sister, or a ceremonial sister. It's just amazing. Names pop up, and I'm going to say, I've been with her, I've sat with her. And so I know we have a small group today, but it's going to get bigger. It's just the way it is. And so I just want to thank you for the work you're doing, and I really do enjoy these podcasts. I think that's what you've done, and I'm really happy for the work that you're doing, that you're bringing to the community that you're working with, and I hope that in the future that you'll be able to come and join us here in Minnesota. So I say thank you, Chinigosh.
Thank you.
You go out, man, Manawa.
Okay, have a beautiful day, everyone.
Thank you.